Hey guys, my name is Nogan and welcome to my C++ series. I hope you guys are doing good. So in today's video, we are going to be speaking about how to use arrays or classes in C++. So as you can see, we have an empty C++ project eventually here. If you haven't watched the previous video, it was about eventually class destructors in C++ and how they've been used and how they've been defined in a class scope, which means when you have a class scope, inside the class you have to have a constructor to construct your code, and also destructor destroys now the source code after being used. Now in today's video, we're focusing on using arrays again, but now in the class scope. How you define the class scope, how you're using it now, eventually also in variables being defined in the class. Now, also the main function here, I'm going to declare a class called student. I'm going to declare public specified. Okay. Now after this, I'm going to also now declare a member of type integer called value. Now I'm going to declare now here a constructor. Now if you don't know what is a constructor, guys, I have a video about a constructor in C++. I'll link a card on top there, because in video we spoke about like we use like we define like what is a constructor by definition, and also how to implement the constructor in the class scope. So when you're defining a constructor, you have to use the same class name as student here. So I'm going to say now here again student. Give it now the parentheses. Int again, v. Okay, so value is awesome. Which means now in the class scope eventually here, this class scope here, we define now the constructor student. This constructor here takes now a parameter of type int, the same as is being defined here. So which means we're storing now in the value of this. The same data type is being declared now in this class code by definition here, in this constructor student here. So eventually, we're just trying to initialize this variable in this student constructor. Now after this, let's just jump over the class and just define here a global variable of type const. So it's a const keyword int. Let's say Awesome. Now in the main function here, I'm now eventually declare an object of the class student eventually here. So in the main function here, I'm gonna just say the class type name, which is a student. After student now, the student, which means the student now becomes eventually a user-defined data type, which means after student now I have to give this student an object. I'm gonna call it now my modules. Now remember, I want to use this in the form of an array. So by definition, I'm going to use now the index to eventually define an array. I'm going to say again here, module size, slicing the array. After this now, getting an error here. Let's just check if everything is compilable. Now shift B. You can see what's happening. Okay. If you look at now the output messages here, this line of code eventually here, as you can see now, it says now in the source main CP file here, like v2. If you click on this error C25 here, if you click on it, as you can see, it gives us now like the issue where is the error being defined in the main.cp file. So as you can see now, it speaks about it's the student. There's no appropriate default constructor available. So which means we have to define also constructor, default constructor by definition, which means if there's no constructor, the default constructor will be executed eventually. So if you go back here now in this class scope here, so now just before this, the student constructor here, I might just say in here student. Now this student constructor won't take any parameters. It will be empty. And now here I'll just initialize this to 0 by default. Also, which means this is now eventually going to be our default constructor. So this will be now a default constructor. Okay, awesome. So we have a constructor has been initialized here with a parameter of int v. But now this one by default it needs to be there, because remember, if this doesn't exist, this can be executed now by the compiler within runtime execution. As you can see now, the error also goes away here. So after this, I'm gonna also declare for loop at int. Now here the length will be the same as the module size. So which means it needs to be a prefix increment. Afterwards, now in the body of the for loop, I'm going to say again here my module I student awesome. Okay, so guys, as you can see now on the line 32 here, actually what's happening is now we want to eventually say, okay, based on the number of modules being defined as a constant variable here of 5 variables. So the for loop engine is going to start now by saying, okay, remember this is an array. An array starts with an index. Index is going to be 5 elements, which means this line of code eventually here will contain those number of elements. But right now, the student here, parentheses I, this is eventually a constructor. So this constructor now is going to take the same level of input based on this constructor being defined here as number of input. Store them now in this my modules index I, which means index I will contain now index from 0 until 4, because remember the array when it stores now its value in the index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means my module eventually here will have like a placeholder where all the numbers, all the modules will be stored now of student in this my modules here in the form of index. Now after this, I'm going to take another for loop also again. Now this for loop eventually also will try to output those things. The modules being stored now in that placeholder. Now I'm going to declare again, say int type, also here pass again that module. I'm going to say cout. I'm going to say I again. Okay, now here I'm going to try and link the same indexes now of my modules and also the one that's been defined and mentioned by the for loop. So which means I can also say here my module with index I also again, and you don't duplicate the value eventually, which means what's happening right now here is that one also make sure now the values that have been stored in this my modules here are the same ones that are going to be executed by the for loop eventually here. So basically this line of code will just give us an output of the index of my modules being defined or outputted by this I variable here. So guys, click Control Shift V to compile your program, see any syntax errors. As you can see, succeeded. Awesome. Now after this, let's run our program and see what is the output. Awesome. As you can see now, my modules now starts from the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means each of these indexes eventually will contain a module and starts from 0, which means we have 5 elements, but now by in terms of like the array, like this configuration or space allocation starts from 0 by default. Awesome. So guys, as you can see right now, we have a class of student. It contains now a public variable of int type, and now we have two constructors here, a default constructor and now a let's say value returning constructor, because now this constructor contains a parameter, which means it's a parameter by definition. So basically we have two constructors here. Now based on that, now in the main function you have two for loops also. One for loop eventually takes now the values of those modules and store them now in my modules here as a means of now storage, which means the second for loop just tries to get the output of those indexes, starting from 0, because of 5 elements, 5 module space allocation here from based on this const int variable here. So now the for loop, this one here, is focused on making sure that now all those elements here start from 0, initialize them, or to store all those modules in the space allocation of my modules you can see here. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.